It's September 9th, 2011, and this is Make and Break, episode 33, the Best Of Edition.
Bob Wood, National Program Director of the Chum Group, worked with us in producing...
Hold up, before we get started...
Guess who's coming? Guess who's coming? Guess who's coming?
Dan Calvin.
Back again! Who is he? Just your favorite DJ Savior. Using and confusing beats that you never heard. 1990. Put a smile on your face like ultra bright.
You're just fessing, man. I don't even want to hear about it.
You're listening to Make and Break Radio on RadioMackinac.org. Well, the summer is finally over. It's after Labor Day. It's the middle of September, and I figured that I would share some of what I personally think are some of the greatest jokes ever written for Northern Michigan internet radio. I'm going to pat myself on the back with this episode, and I hope that you get a few laughs out of it. An open letter to Suzi Barret. Suzi Barret, I have a bone to pick with you. I've about had it. You've appropriated MakeBreakShow.com for long enough. This winter, I briefly mentioned you in a stream of consciousness blog post that stated the opinion that you may be on the cusp of replacing Flo from Progressive ads as the vaguely attractive insurance shield du jour. Those 3 or 4 sentences and an image stolen from Flickr changed MakeBreakShow.com forever. Within days, I was excited to see the traffic stats were up, way up. Then I looked at the search terms used, and I was a little bit dismayed. Esurance girl. Insurance pigtails girl. Esurance pigtails woman. And the list went on from there. No one was looking for the podcast, no one was looking for the radio show, not even for Mackinac Island, not even for me. At first I laughed this development off. The laughter soon turned to rationalization. I convinced myself that you were up-and-coming comedian who, from what I had seen on YouTube, was quite funny. I particularly enjoyed the I'll show you mine bit, and could definitely use the exposure, and I was supplying several hundred eyes a week with the service of placing a name to the face. But enough is enough, after all. This is my vanity project, not a Suzi Barret information booth. Besides, your fans are beginning to concern me. These 4chan chatting smartphone-using twerps are searching for more and more potentially upsetting subjects. Does Suzi Barret smoke? Suzi Barret parakeet. Esurance woman t-shirt brand. They are arriving after searching for these things I've never even written about. Suzi Barret papier-mâché clown mask. Esurance wart removal. Suzi Barret magician's assistant. Please make it stop. I don't want crazies looking at my internets. They might break something. While I haven't witnessed anything that would make you fear for your safety, I must warn you that you may be shocked to learn of the demographics of your current fan club. They seem to be in some sort of weird stuff. To finish, I would appreciate it if you would put an end to this situation over which you have no control. Oh, and P.S. Thanks for listening to the Make and Break Show. We are under attack. Our borders have been compromised. Illegal aliens are destroying our picturesque island and its bucolic horse culture. The recent reports that transients are invading the Great Turtle, taking what is not rightfully theirs, is an abomination. Our borders to the north and south are vulnerable and should be closed and guarded to the maximum fullest extent. I'm not referring to the U.S.-Mexico border. What I'm reminding you of is the topic that was once at the tip of everyone's tongues and became taboo after the Hurley incident of 1983. That's right. I dare to remind you of the transdimensional swamp portals. These portals found in the swamps that straddle the Louisiana-Texas border and the darkest woods around Wawa, Ontario, must be closed down with dynamite and patrolled to prevent any future transdimensional fissure transit. The cost of these closures would be minimal, as the majority of the expenditures could be reclaimed by selling off the hides of these horrific interlopers once they are trapped on our own dimension and culled. The attacks on our homeland must stop. These most recent events serve not only to warn us to be vigilant against the Yeti attack, but should also be a grisly reminder of the summertime interdimensional attacks that, for reasons that I can only guess, are to protect the seasonal tourist trade perpetrated by El Chupacabra and Le Lutine that so savagely destroyed, spooked, and otherwise irritated several livery horses in recent summers. Besides, I've heard these beasts only come to our world to breed, and once they've finished bespoiling our precious island, they prey upon our livestock and pet children. Well, I say, not in my backyard. This has been Straits Talk, and I'm Daniel Calvin. And now for local news. Northern Michigan Math Lab raided. A Northern Michigan math lab was found among the roots in the woods of Foyle County this week. Officers found large sums of math and functions used in creating math. Foyle County Sheriff Hypatia Alexander said that the math cache was found at an undefined slope after an anonymous source said that they overheard hyperbola at a parent function last week. We originally thought that the tip was improbable, but decided to follow up on the call, Sheriff Alexander said at a press conference. Once the math was cleaned up, the gravity of the bust dawned on the authorities as the remainder of the woodland shack was declared a hazardous site and would need to be destroyed using high-velocity vertexes. Among the radicals arrested was Polynomial, who was found with a semi-automatic abacus. The common denominator in this bust was civilian tips and above-average police work, Sheriff Alexander said. Mackinac Island news now. We finally had some snowfall, resulting in a mammoth influx in Yeti and other snow beast sightings. The Blair's cold cellar was ransacked by somebody possessing enormous ape-like feet. Prints left in the snow, entering and exiting the cellar, indicated as much. 3 quarts of beets were found to be missing. Mrs. Ondrick claims that her Yorkshire Terrier, Limpy, was absconded with by a large, hairy simian creature. Fortunately, she got a good look at the horrific sight before the giant ran off. The suspect is about 7 foot 4 inches tall, 600 pounds, wore a beard, and atop his head was a baseball-style cap, she said, that had "Diesel fumes make me horny" written above the bill. If you have any information regarding Limpy's abduction, please contact us at the Make and Break Radio News team via email. That's Jim@makebreakshow.com. Jim@makebreakshow.com.
This episode of Make and Break Radio is brought to you by Ponchos, Mackinaw's leading source for sack-like garments. Stop in today and try on our newest model, the Horse Spooker. Made of lightweight polyethylene, the Horse Spooker will protect your torso from the elements while making the streets of Mackinac a little bit more exciting. This week only, school group special, 10% off all Ponchos and a free cap gun with every purchase over $10. Stop in today and we'll have a towel waiting.
A recent event, as underreported as it was, grabbed my attention recently. This abhorrent and grossly immoral travesty is the final straw. The number 7 must be stopped. Last Monday's mastication of number 9 was a clear indication that our culture of good luck and good times has driven 7 over the edge. I was not surprised at all when I read that 7 had eaten 9. No one claims that there weren't any warning signs. Remember 7's drunken rant at the Nobel Prize ceremony, during which he railed on and on how the number 3 was conspiring with the Freemasons to take out all the other single-digit prime numbers? 7 has been pushing its agenda on all of us for far too long, since biblical times and before. 7 lobbied the earliest of gamblers to be with their favorites, with great success for 7, but questionable success for the gamblers. Las Vegas and Reno have made a name for themselves, toting the number 7 as being ideal. Lucky 7s indeed. Hollywood films, soft drinks, and more exploit this numeral to society's detriment. With 7's most recent behavior, I feel that we must shun 7, just as we shunned black-faced minstrel shows. Enough is enough. Let's stop rubbing salt into the wound. Why should I care that 7 ate 9? In what civilized society is cannibalism tolerated? This incident is a clear warning that 7 is a loose cannon who does not play by the rules. How many more 18s will need to be divided before the madness ends? I'm Daniel Calvin, This is Straights Talk, and I've just given it to you straights. There's a little known story from the distant past that very few people are aware of. It involves World War II and the Nazi regime. You see, Hitler was in the hospital for an appendicitis treatment, and a group of individuals decided that they would attempt to assassinate him by drowning him in a submarine that was conveniently connected to the hotel. Not the hotel. The restaurant. Not the restaurant, the hospital. Boy, what's on my mind? Anyway. Well, it turns out that a caretaker for this hotel that I misspoke of earlier, that was actually a hospital/restaurant, was busy filling a vending machine one day and was made aware that somebody had broken a handrail. And he was a little bit frustrated by this, but nonetheless, he had his own participation with this assassination plot. That the intention was to convince Hitler to tap dance his way right into the submarine. And the method that they used was that while he was in recovery, they had the footsteps of the dance referred to as the tango on the floor. And they would hypnotize him into walking onto these footprints straight into the submarine that they would just fill with water and drown him. It was a foolproof plan. But the plan was soon foiled by the SS, who approached this caretaker, vending machine filling handrail repair person at an amphitheater where he was watching Othello. And the SS guards pointed at a man selling peanuts, hot roasted peanuts. And they said, "We're gonna take that man out if you go through with your plot to kill Hitler." And this caretaker said, "We all know you can't do that. That's Simple Stevie." Apparently this man's name was Stevie, and he was quite simple. Nonetheless, that is the story of another failed attempt on Hitler's life. That individual, that caretaking individual that let the whole world down, was actually me, and that was a dream I had about a year ago. Although I guess that dream's a little bit better than the dream I had the other day, where a friend of mine had been kidnapped and she was being cloned, and I had to rescue her from this horrible entrapment. And so that's that. Thank you for listening to Make and Break Radio. You can visit us at makebreakshow.com. Have a good night. This week I have something very, very special for you. This just in. God particles found in employee toaster at CERN labs. God's image was found last Tuesday afternoon at the CERN research facility in Switzerland in the unlikeliest of places, the employee break room. In a Make and Break Radio exclusive, I have managed to acquire interviews with the researchers involved in this earth-shattering revelation. The discovery was made during the first shift of that Tuesday in the break room of the Large Hadron Collider Particle Collider Division. This area of CERN focuses on colliding of particles nearly at the speed of light in hope of finding the, quote, God particle, or the Higgs boson particle, theorized to be the first thing to exist immediately after the creation of the universe. On this day, though, the billion-dollar facility was rendered irrelevant by Stephen Beauchamp, who was making toast for an impromptu bacon and lettuce and tomato sandwich. I was making toast, Stephen recalled to me under the pretense that I not show his voice on the air. He later went on to say, the toast got jammed. I put a fork in the toaster to fetch out the bread, and there was a big bang. I would then find out that the startled Beauchamp had, in his excitement after the small explosion, upset the toaster, dislodging the crumb tray. At this point, the discovery was revealed. It was like I was looking into the face of God, said Beauchamp. It turned out the breadcrumbs themselves were no longer discarded bits of pumpernickel. Beauchamps proceeded to call for a janitor to help with clean up the mess, but they were busy with other tasks. Beauchamp then had to rely on the assistance of lead particle physicist Victor Blanston, a native of Austria. I was amazed, he said. I came in rushing to the break room with the dustbuster and was stopped dead in my tracks. The particles were everywhere, omnipresent even. Similar events have occurred at the LHC, but had been dismissed as being not scientifically reproducible. Barb Hanrahan from Accounts Payable was reheating some chicken paprikash for lunch when the overheated storage container's lid blew open. She recalled, right there on the backside of the microwave door was the Virgin Mary, all made up from paprika and onion. Others disagreed, and after a staff poll was taken, the determination was that the dollop more closely resembled Lady Gaga with a three-legged giraffe taking up a distant second. Dr. Blanston explained to me that it all kind of made sense, especially after the near disaster during the startup of the LHC last spring when somebody accidentally dropped a baguette into the particle collider. He went on to tell me that what they were looking for is the oldest and tiniest thing ever to exist, that to find the Higgs boson particle in dust crumbs makes sense to him. He quipped, "Most people see Jesus in toast as a whole. We found him in the crumbs." I asked Beauchamp how he felt about his discovery. He told me, "Well, I'm still hungry and that sourdough was rather holy." This has been Straits Talk for August 12th, 2011. Thank you for listening.
This episode of Make and Break Radio is underwritten by the Eastern Upper Peninsula Equestrian Collective, sticking together like glue since 1973.
Be safe this Lenten season. Don't get burned by high energy bills or burning stuff. Always clean your lint trap before each load is to be dried. Don't be a statistic. Never smoke in mohair, and definitely don't dry your clothes in the oven, no matter what the recipe calls for. This has been a public service announcement from Make and Break Radio. Join us for more at this show's website. Visit makebreakshow.com and listen to the podcast, and most importantly, leave a comment. That's makebreakshow.com.